Lovely. There we go. Are we? We are there. We are there. Just waiting for the little thing to do its thing. Hello and welcome to this week's Natural Gardening Live. So I hope you're all doing all right in this lovely spring day we've been having. A bit wet and windy, but we're all right. We're doing good. It's not quite April yet. I'll let it off. Next week, though, that's when the good weather has to start. It's just getting silly now. So, hello and welcome to this week's Natural Gardening Live with me, Josie Rainbow, your natural gardening coach. What are we talking about today in this week's Natural Gardening Live? Because I can't remember. In this week's Natural Gardening Live, we are talking about veg growing. So, this is the theme of the month in the membership, in the Natural Gardeners membership. So, if you're in there, you would have seen an agenda appear in there at some point, and the events will be popping up throughout this week. So you are ready for April, but that is the theme of the month through April as well in the membership. So if you want to know more about the membership, I'll leave the link in the description for you to check out later. If you're just starting out as, if I was just starting out as a new grower, I'm talking about the need to know is what I would be doing now kind of thing, and how I would set my garden up for a successful growing year, using natural, sustainable and free resources, like we talk about in here, for long-term support. So that's what we're talking about today, your veg patch or your potential veg patch. So let me find myself half a second. Let me know in the comments if you have started growing veg, if this is your first year or thinking about growing veg, fruit and veg, sorry, not just veg. If you're an experienced veg grower and you have done it for years, you've had fantastic crops, you're really successful, leave in the comments, let me know. And also, yeah, if you've got any tips, leave them in the comments. I'm sure the group, and if you're watching us on YouTube and the membership as well, because we're live streaming to the membership as well, I'm sure everybody would like to hear them. So, and I'd be interested to see as well. Interested to see. So, hang on a minute. So, with the cost of living increasing, I hate saying the cost of living, drives me mad. But it's true, you can't avoid it. With the cost of living increasing, it's becoming more and more so apparent that we need to start learning to provide for ourselves. Not on the scale of a homestead, don't get me wrong. That'd be lovely, but not quite to that scale. But producing our own food for ourselves, for our family, just to supplement our monthly or weekly shop, can make all the difference. So with that does go towards impacting our food bills, like our outgoings. So growing your own veg can be more than just nice to do. It can be therapeutic. It can be budget friendly as well. So it's good. So today I have a few need to knows when starting out your veg patch. As we said, if I was to be starting a veg patch now, how would I start it? How would I prepare my veg patch ready for a successful growing year, successful and abundant harvest, that kind of thing. By the way, let me know if you can hear me and see me okay. My microphone's right down there, so hopefully you can. That would have made no difference, but hopefully you can hear me and see me okay. If you can't, or you can, just let me know in the comments. I'll keep an eye. There we are. Perfect. Okay, so on occasion we forget to do the basics well, so I'm going to go over them today. If this can be just as useful for beginners as it can be for experienced gardeners, that it can be for beginners. So going back over basics isn't something that should be like poo-pooed, if you like. It's something, you need to keep going over it so you remember, and so it can keep benefiting your garden. So we're going to go over the basics today so it can help everyone. So occasionally we forget to do the basics well, and this sets us up for a naff harvest. It does. And I've been full of this as well. I've cut corners on occasion, and then I haven't had the best year. I've changed what I've done with the tomatoes, so they haven't been as good. Last year was a bit of a naff year. I did things differently. Things just don't work. If you don't get the basics right, the rest of it doesn't fall into place, and you don't have a good harvest. It's just simple. So yeah, set you up for a naff harvest. and unhappy and vulnerable plants. So when you have vulnerable plants, if they're unhealthy, if they're malnourished, if they are slightly unhealthy is the best way to describe it, unhealthy malnourished plants, they need more care from you, they need more feeding and more support. They're more prone to pest and disease damage. Pests will literally find them from anywhere. There will be a magnet for them. So if you need a sacrificial plant, find the most unhealthy plant you have in your garden, because you can guarantee that's going to be your plant. So yes, so if you ever have an unhealthy looking plant, they're going to need so much more care from you, so much more time, support. So if you keep the basics going well, your plants will be happier and healthier. They won't be so vulnerable. They won't have to need so much more care from you, cost so much more money, more feeding, more time, more support. Has a knock-on effect. So basics. Okay, so doubling back and looking at the basics can actually be more helpful sometimes, most of the time, be more helpful to you than be a hindrance. So definitely worth doing. I've got a moth in my office. Excuse me if that goes past the camera in a minute. It's just up on the ceiling. Go away, moth. It's going to land, it's fine. Oh, lovely. It's just joining me. It's because I've got the lights on. I've upset it. Where did I get to? Right. So what kind of things are we talking about when we say basics? So three things I would start with. Get my teeth in. 3 things I would do if I was starting out as a new gardener, as a gardener, if you like, as a vegetable grower, to set up my garden, is setting up my garden for best support, both for me and for the plants. So keeping a planner of what I need to do when, what jobs I need to do next, and when I'm sowing, when I'm planting, when I'm harvesting, that kind of thing. And as I say, the jobs that I need to do one after the other. So I haven't always got to think about stuff. And growing plants that are reliable, successful, not successful is the wrong word, but reliable for harvest, good producers, because a successful harvest boosts your confidence. If you're a new grower, if you're new to vegetable growing and your first harvest is really naff because you've gone to the funny coloured fruit and veg, which are fantastic and they work. They aren't always the best producers though. If you go for purple tomatoes, for instance, or I don't know, anything like that don't produce so much, that can knock your confidence in your first year. So go for reliable varieties that you know you're going to get loads and loads of fruit and veg from. This will boost your confidence, and you can still experiment as you go. But if you want a good year to start yourself off, here we go. If you've got a good year to start yourself off, to get your confidence up, to then maybe start experimenting as you go the following years, as you can, then you can. So that's fine. But yeah, I would, if I was starting out now, I would pick the reliable, good varieties to boost my confidence before I started to experiment. So I will be going into the varieties that I recommend in a bit, so don't worry. And if you're watching from the group, from the Facebook group or the membership, I will be listing them as a post later on as well, later in the week as well. So you can check those out. So if you need a list of easy to grow plants for your veg patch, totally lost where I am on my notes now. I will be posting them later. Half a minute. Oh, there we go. Right. 3 things I would do if I was starting out. There we go. Growing plants that are reliable. Fab. Okay. So as far as the basics go, setting up your garden can be the most important thing to think about in any gardening situation. Whether it's a flower bed, whether it's a veg patch, whether it's containers, whether it's a hanging basket garden. Working out, setting the basics up, setting your garden up is the most important thing. So what do I mean by setting up? So to set up, get my words straight, hang on. The setup will meet the outcome. So if you set up well, you're going to have success. So your veg patch will need at least 8 hours of light. We've talked about this before. I've gone into a detail on this one. So the veg patch needs at least 8 hours of light, sunshine a day. Free draining soil as well, ideally. Healthy soil as well, ideally. But 8 hours of sunlight to get good crops, good fruit, good healthy plants. Now, this is the majority of veg plants or fruit and veg plants, but some will quite happily grow in partial shade. So if you've got a garden that's mostly sunny most of the day and has partial shade, you can get away with that. It won't be as good for leafy greens, very leafy vegetables, lettuces, salad crops, that kind of thing. But you can do it. It will work. So that's your flip of the coin on that one. So if you can provide this, that's half the battle. So good light. I say good light. 8 hours of light ideally, but we can get away with it. Free draining soil and healthy soil. If your garden is mostly shady, as I say, or surrounded by trees, you can get away with this. I'm rambling because I can't find my notes. You can get away with this. It's absolutely fine. Trees will also help with, as much as hinder, they will also help with shelter, which we'll talk about in a minute. The trees tend to take a lot of goodness out of the soil as well. So if you've got a lot of trees around where you're planting your veg, you will need to condition the soil quite often, should I say. Okay, so soil is important. One of the most important parts of your garden is one of the 3 aspects of the garden ecosystem. So the soil care should be up there with your priorities, should be. For a successful veg patch, it is important to invest and take care of your soil. So last week, it was last week, wasn't it? We were talking to Dr. Anton Rosenfeld from Garden Organic, and he was talking to us about the benefits of green manure, plants that can be grown to support the soil in your garden. So they provide organic matter, food, support for the soil, for the ecosystem in the soil, lending long-term, the whole point of it is long-term benefits for your plants and the soil. So they invest in the soil. So for your veg patch to be successful with minimal care and stress, you need to provide long-term support, not reactive support. So you're not looking for problems and then treating them. You're preventing problems in the long run by giving them everything they need by supporting the soil. This is what we need. This is what we need to do for a carefree, minimal care and stress-free, that's what I was going with that, and massively lower cost garden. This will ensure that your plants remain healthy and recover faster with more resilience, meaning you won't have to be treating them all the time. You won't have to look after them so much. They will need much less support and much less attention from you, so you can relax and enjoy your veg patch as best you can, which is what we're going to do at the end of the day. We don't want to be out there, as much as we want to be out there tinkering, we don't want to be out there trying to solve problems, treat plants, things like that all the time. We want to leave that for the insects to worry about. So by investing in the soil and making sure the soil is in good condition with lots of organic matter, which is good, the green manure as well, with good drainage, your plants will manage their own nutrients, which we're saying about they'll take care of themselves, and will need minimal care from you throughout the year, which is perfect. So I don't know if I've got that to hand, but I can find it. I have the soil care playlist, which I think is in the group. I know it's in the group because I put it in there before. Somewhere in there, I'll find it, but I'll find it on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, go to my playlist section. There will be a soil care playlist, which will tell you all about soil care, identifying what type of soil you've got and how to condition it, and all the different ways to feed your ground. So if you check that out, as I say, I'll link it in the description anyway, so you can find it from there. If not, you can look at it after the show. So keep a planner now. Oh, it's here. Planner. My planner, and I've created. It's not designed, as I say, for vegetable patches, but it can't talk now. I've got a croak. Just choke myself. It's fine. Somewhere in here, I have got garden jobs maintenance. Oh, weekly planner. I don't know if you can see that weekly planner that I've got in there. I have got a monthly And I've got, if I can find it, should be a monthly one. And a seasonal one. There you go. Seasonal. I knew it was in there somewhere. And a seasonal one. So you can go through and write in the spring and summer what you're planting, what your what your vegetables are going to be, what you want to plant, what you want to sow, when you want to sow them, etc. But that's all in there. So it's a really good planner, that one, if I do say so myself, because I created it. But it's got some very useful planner pages in there that can help you to keep track of what you're sowing when, what you need to harvest, when you need to harvest it, when you need to plant out, the jobs you need to do one after the other, so you don't lose track. Because believe you me, if you don't have to remember this stuff, you don't forget it. If that makes sense. It's written down in a planner and you can just keep referring back to it. You don't have to try and keep it all in your head. Makes life so much easier for yourself. So keep a planner. If I was starting out now as a new vegetable grower, I would, and I do, keep a planner. A little bit more organised than I was when I started. Keeping a planner is priceless. I'm just trying to find myself. If you need, if you need to remember it, if you need to remember it, you'll forget it. That is for sure. Unless you're some sort of genius and you've got one of those photographic memories and you can't forget anything. That's not me. So keeping a planner, it's a good idea. Growing reliable varieties of crops. This is what we talked about at the beginning. So when you have when you're growing the good varieties that you know you're going to get a good crop from, and they turn out, they show up for you. They're good. They produce loads of fruit. If tomatoes, for instance, they get loads and loads and loads of trusses on there. If you've got really reliable beetroot growing, anything like that, if you get really good harvest, it boosts your confidence, especially if it's your first year or fifth year or whatever. It keeps your confidence going, which spurs you on to try new things and grow different things each year. So you want to try and stick to the reliable crops if you can, at least in your first few years, to try and boost your confidence and get going. So depending on the space and situation, there's always a variety of veg plant, seed, whatever, that will suit you. I want to provide a few. I've got a list of a few that if you are new or starting out this year, you can go out and buy and have a successful harvest with. Now, a lot of these actually I still grow now because I can trust them to produce a good crop and I don't have to worry about them so much. Say last year, I didn't grow these tomatoes, which I'll talk about in a minute. And I really did have a naff year. I didn't have a lot. There were lots of different colours I had and very special tomatoes, but they weren't very good at growing. They didn't produce an awful lot. So we've gone back to basics, as I was saying at the beginning, and I'm doing this again this year. So successful harvest. Success breeds confidence, to say. But you also need to learn from your mistakes as well. So I do encourage you to try new things. Give yourself a couple of years of good harvest to understand how things work, when you're supposed to be planting out, when you're supposed to be doing things, when you get your planner going, things like that. But then start to experiment, start to make mistakes, learn how things work and how not to do things, if you like. Obviously, the group's always here. I'm always here. So I can help you with the mistakes. If you're worried about it, it's fine. But learning from mistakes, that's how experts become experts. What is it? An expert is the person that makes all the mistakes. I've forgotten the rest of the saying. It's like the expert is the person that makes all the mistakes and learns from them and grows their experience or something like that. Someone tell me in the comments because I can't remember it. That's fine. Okay, so the veg that I have got, some fruit, veg. Have I got fruit in there? I have got fruit. I want fruit. So courgettes, my fave for when it comes to profuse production of vegetables. So courgettes, so really simple to grow, really good harvest, reliable germination rates. The ones I use, which are Defender. They're Defender. Yes, they're Defender. I couldn't remember. I was looking at my notes so I couldn't see it. So Defender is the one I usually grow. I have grown other ones in the past. Defender's always been the best producing, in my opinion, on my ground. So They will keep producing right through to September, October time, in my experience, and depending on I suppose, the shelter in your garden, the sunshine and everything. But in my garden, I do get full, good sunshine all day, effectively up until about 5 o'clock in the summer. So they'll keep producing through September, October, if the weather is good. And the more I pick, the more I seem to get as well, which is really nice. So it's kind of like deadheading. If you deadhead your flowers, you get more flower buds coming through. If you pick the courgette, you get some more through. That's how it works. There was one I did plant before, which was a yellow one called Sunshine, I believe. I think that was a Sutton's one, but don't hold me to that. I believe it was Sutton's seeds. I got that from called Sunshine. It was an F1 hybrid. And that was okay. That did grow well. The germination rate was probably about, I don't know, 7 out of 10. I had quite a few plants that didn't germinate. Normally a Defender, they all germinate without fail. All seeds that I plant will germinate, which is amazing. We really like that. But the yellow ones, they didn't all germinate, and it was a bit near. But production-wise, I got quite a few courgettes out of them. So they're good. But they're a really nice bright yellow with a nice white centre, so they're quite bright. So that was courgettes. So Defender, standard green, normal courgette, normal size. If you leave it, it'll become a marrow. And then you'll get less courgettes, but you have a big marrow, feed the family, fine. Or the yellow, I think it's the Sutton's F1 Sunshine, I think it's called. I haven't grown that one for a few years though, but that was another one that's very good. But that was a nice yellow one. Beetroot. Now, for the life of me, I could not find my packet of seeds for my beetroot. Don't know where it's gone at all. I've sown them, but the seeds disappeared, so I can't remember the type. But I've once grown, I think it was the year before last, I grew the multicolored, so the yellows, whites, and purple beetroot in a pack. On reds, I think, were in there as well. They grew quite well, but the whites just didn't germinate very well at all. I barely got any whites. So I stick to the standard purple or red, whatever you want to call them, standard beetroot. If I can find my packet of seeds that I always buy, same ones, I will put the name in the list when I put it up on the group, or I try and do it into the community as well on YouTube. So I try and do it in there. But if I find it, I'll put it on there. But for the life of me, I couldn't find it anywhere. I must have thrown it away by accident, but it's definitely empty because I've used them all. So beetroot, standard purple. That's all I can tell you. Standard purple beetroot. Really good hardy veg to grow. You can sow from April. You can sow earlier than April if you wanted to, because they are so hardy. You can grow in succession right through, so a little bit at a time. So a few seeds, crop them, a few more seeds. So every, say, 4 to 6 weeks apart, keep sowing. I've got a video on succession growing if you want to watch that. But you get smaller crops throughout the year. You don't get to have them all at once and have to store them. It's a really nice way of doing it, especially if you've got a smaller garden and you haven't really got lots of space. Again, if I was starting out as a new veg grower, this would have been something that I would do. When I started out, I did everything all at once, which didn't work so well. But succession growing is definitely a much more space-saving way of doing things. And it does create a little bit more work. Not a lot, a little bit more work, but it's a much easier way of doing things. So, yes, as I say, beetroot is a very easy to grow vegetable. It will grow in cold weather, in hot weather. So I will sow it from, say, April time. So this weekend, last weekend, I'd sown it. So I'll be getting another packet of seeds. I've run out of those ones now. My seed packet's disappeared, so I know I've run out. And I'll be sowing right through to like the middle of October, and they'll happily grow into November, probably later if it's a mild winter, and they'll be quite happy. But obviously, as the day lengths get shorter, the growth slows right down. So November is kind of the last point, I would say, but very good. So chilies and like bell peppers. So I don't buy these seeds. I save them. So I have like a bell pepper I buy from Tesco's, the veg shop in the corner, our farm shop we've got down the road. So I'll buy a pepper or chilies, save the seeds, and then sow those. They work really well. So say you're eating the pepper anyway, you're going to discard the seeds, or you're eating the chili. I would naturally discard the seeds if I was eating a chili because I don't like too much heat. But yeah, so you'd naturally discard the seeds. So why not sow them? You've eaten the pepper, you've got your money's worth out of the pepper, and then you're going to grow more. So that's what I do. So I haven't got a particular type that I use, just one you get from the supermarket. I haven't found a pepper of sorts, or even tomato of sorts, that doesn't germinate from the supermarket. So I don't think they sterilise them, or they're a type that doesn't germinate from a seed you'd get from the plant. I've got to take my nose, hang on. I'm going to sneeze. Don't sneeze. No, it's gone. So yes, if that's of any help, there's a particular sort that just one you buy from the supermarket. Always had success, always grown really well. They like a lot of sunshine, lots of heat, grow really well in the conservatory or the greenhouse rather than outside. Don't sneeze. Oh dear. I'm having fun with my nose today. Try not to sneeze. Oh yeah, thank you, Steve. So yeah, beetroot. Oh, bolt hardy. Oh, yes, I've heard of it. Yeah, I haven't sown them before, but yeah. So that's good. There you go. So I'll research those and I'll put those in the group for you so you can see those. But when I find my types of beetroot, we'll see what they are. So yeah, chili peppers grow in the greenhouse conservatory really well. Need a lot of sun, need a lot of heat to ripen and mature. So that's really good. Sheltered. If you've got a garden that's in a really, if you've got a really sheltered spot, full sunshine, like a walled garden, for instance, something like that, they will grow outside, especially the summer we had last year, and potentially we've got this year coming up. They will grow outside. I'm going to try and grow aubergines outside this year if we get as good a summer as we got last year, because I'm running out of room in my greenhouse for various things because they grow too much. So I'm going to try that this year. But chilies and peppers, they need a lot of sun. So grow them inside in a conservatory or greenhouse for the successful growth and maturity. Let's have a look. Yeah, thank you for that, Steve. That's actually good. Thank you. So tomatoes. The type I've always grown, but last year I didn't, are Moneymaker, Gardener's Delight, and cherry tomatoes I get from the supermarket. I usually sow a cherry tomato, so I squish it and then get the seeds out and then sow the seeds. Basically, I don't dry them. I don't get the stuff off, the tomato off. I could, if I thought about it, just plant the tomato, squish the tomato and plant the tomato, but I don't. I take the actual tomato bits off, but I leave the seeds in their little squishiness and their membrane. And I sow them that way. Never fails. Always grows quite well. Absolutely fine. And it's a really good way of spacing them out as well when you leave them in the goo. Little tip for you there. So, and it's free. So Moneymaker is a very reliable variety of tomato. Gardener's Delight is a very reliable variety. I have done tumbling toms in the past, which are very good for growing in a hanging basket. So if you've got a limited space, or if you're like I am, running out of space in your greenhouse, I'm doing tumbling toms this year, hanging them in my greenhouse because I'm running out of space on the ground. So we're doing that, but I'm going back to Moneymaker and Gardener's Delight because they are good crops. They're good cropping. They're plain red, simple tomatoes, delicious, and they all produce an awful lot of fruit, which is what we want at the end of the day. I want to be producing fruit. I don't want to be tending to plants that only give me like 3 trusses of barely any fruit or any size. I'm going to go with that. So I'm also growing giant tree, I think they're called. They're beefsteaks. They're really big ones. So they should be nice, but they literally only give you like 5 or 6 tomatoes per plant. Last year we got a few. So I'm going to try and do those in a bit more of a quantity this year, which is why I'm running out of space in the greenhouse. So yeah, but they're beefsteaks and they're big tomatoes. So you don't need to have 6 or 7 trusses on a plant because they're so big. So I'm doing those as my experiment. So yeah, going back to basics, Moneymaker and Gardener's Delight have always been my traditional good growers. And so I'm going back to basics, getting my good crops back up together. And then I'm doing tumbling toms because they are space saving and I can hang them from the ceiling. So they'll be fine. Very good, reliable varieties of tomato. If you have got any tomatoes that you've grown in the past that or are growing this year that you've had really good experience with, really good crops from, if you're an experienced gardener, you've had reliable crops from, leave it in the comments or post it in the group if you're in the group, or if you're on YouTube, post in the comments. And just see, because it'd be interesting to see, and I'll give them a try, see what they're like. Now, these are my two basics that work really well, but I know a lot of people that grow these reliably every year and have no problems in totally different types of gardens to what I have, soil types and everything. So dwarf French beans and runner beans. Runner beans are the old faithful. They'll grow from nothing. You could plant them in sand and they'd grow. Then they will produce an awful lot of beans. And you've really got to keep on top of runner beans as well, because you leave them for a day and you just got overrun with runner beans. Dwarf French beans, or I'm doing climbing French beans, same sort of difference. They produce an awful lot of beans, which is amazing. So like the green beans that they buy them in the shop. They will both be very good, easy to grow vegetables, produce an awful lot of vegetables. You can freeze them, save them through the year. You can, as I say, store them. So they're really good. So any variety, I don't usually buy a particular variety of runner bean. They all seem to grow really very well. They produce an awful lot of beans. The French beans, I haven't written down the name of the French bean that I've got growing this year. Can't remember what it is, but I will find out and post that in the group for you as well. Generally speaking, dwarf or climbing French beans and runner beans of any kind are incredibly reliable. I've heard a bit hit and miss on the purple French beans, but then some people say they grow really well in like lighter soils. Some people say that they don't grow very well in like shadier areas. They need more sunshine. Being leafy, I'd imagine they need full sun as well. They don't grow very well in clay soil per se, but they're very good. And they're also, where they're a bean, they have the nitrogen fixing element to them as well. So if you're growing them in a bed that's got cabbages growing in, for instance, or lettuces or anything like that, they've got that benefit that they can feed them as they go, which is amazing. Where was I? Dwarf French and runner beans. Strawberries. Now, hopefully at some point I'm going to have some pine berries arrive, which would be lovely to try as well. Similar to a strawberry. They taste like pineapple. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted on how they go. But strawberries are... my face, can't see anything. Strawberries are very easy and very good varieties. I grow them from, what did I have this year? I can't remember what it's called. It's gone out of my head and I didn't write it down. Sorry, I'm used to some names today. Courgette was the only one I really got right. And the tomatoes. Strawberries, I can't remember what they're called, but it was a really simple name. It was something like Red Hearts or something like that. I think it was. It might have been actually the Queen of Hearts, actually, thinking about it. So really nice, reliable strawberry brand variety, really good at growing, produces an awful lot of runners. I have done a video on growing strawberries in the past, if you want to watch that, about how to manage the runners each year, take the runners off the first year. They grow reliably for about 4 years, and then you should save the runner from the third year to grow on, and then change the crop over. So that's generally how you grow strawberries. That's really good, reliable crop, but they are very good. I am growing my strawberries in hanging baskets this year because I'm using the ground for other things. So I lifted them, planted them in baskets. I've saved runners from like 2 years ago, and I've just rotated the crop a little bit, refreshed the crop. So they're going to be really good in hanging baskets. Plus, I have a small dog that likes to eat strawberries. So it happens. He will walk past the plant on the floor and just nip the strawberry as it's hanging off the side of the path and walk off with it because he's quite happy and he's always hungry. Bless him. So yes, he does like a strawberry. So if they're in a hanging basket, there's less chance of him eating the strawberries, you'd think. Unless somebody picks him up and holds him to a... Can't imagine we'd do that, but yes. So strawberries, very good, reliable. When I find out, I'm sure it is Queen of Hearts, the type, but I will find out for you, so that's fine. but they're very good, reliable fruit for a first-time fruit and veg grower to start with. You can get plants like ready. You can grow them from seed. You can, but they do take a while to grow from seed. Oh, you've tried pine berries as well? Are they very nice? I am looking forward to growing them, I will say. Should be good. They are going where my strawberries were in a different side of the bed. So that should be quite nice, really, having the contrast there between the red and the white. Very excited by that one. I am sad. I can't help it. So I've got kids that do that. Yeah. Our dogs are like our kids a lot of the time. They do, bless them. Snick the strawberries as they go past. So, yes, strawberries very reliable. If you're starting out, try strawberries because you can. Literally, if you buy the plants, don't worry about growing as much from seed. You can, it is an option if you really want to, but you can buy the plants very cheaply, either dry in the, like bare root, if you like, in the autumn time. You can buy them and get them ready for plant them up so they grow and root and happily over the winter months. And you can plant them out in the spring, or you can buy them now dry rooted and plant them out ready, and then they can establish ready to start fruiting. You can buy them potted now, so you can just plant them out. The options are endless. You can buy them, but strawberries are really reliable. Hopefully pine berries are as well. So I have got, right, what was I going to say? So in this week's, I've got distracted with strawberry and pine berries. Oh, yes. So in the group this week, I put a post out to say I am producing an ebook. I've got a new ebook coming out, free ebook, talking about how to grow fruit and veg in your garden for free. I've had a good response on that, which is nice. So I will share that link to the ebook at the end of this in the description and in the group, so you can check that out. Ready to download, absolutely fine. So I'll share that later, so you can download that. I did print a copy, but I think I've left it downstairs. So yes, and at the end of, we were talking about the beginning and the membership. The theme of April for the membership is growing your veg patch. So at the end of the week, I think it is, when we are in April, when the real springtime starts, in the Natural Gardeners membership throughout April, we are talking about growing fruit and veg for beginners, from a beginner's point of view, and how to make your veg patch a success. I can't talk today. Your veg patch a success with less stress and cost to you, which is amazing, which is what you want. When you're starting out, you want to have, boost your confidence, get good crops. You don't want to have to worry and stress about everything. And you don't want it to cost a fortune because you're just starting. You want it to really be cost effective and to motivate you to keep going, which is what we're going to be doing in the Gardeners membership throughout April. Now, you would have probably seen, I did try and post some stuff in the group as well. I didn't put anything on YouTube yet. I will. The hints of what's going on for April. In the membership, I have put an agenda up, and there will be events and everything listed as well. So yes, if I can, I'll share the events in the group so you can see. So we are talking about container growing, soil care, seed sowing, everything. As much as I can possibly fit into the month, I'm going to fit in as detailed as I can without blowing your minds, because I obviously don't want to overflow everything. Overflow? That's the wrong word. Overwhelm. That's what I was going with that. Overwhelm. New growers. I don't want to do that. So as much detail as I can. If you need more specific help, I do offer, obviously, in the membership, I offer the one-to-one coaching, so you can talk to me directly, ask your questions, and that's all part of the membership price, so that's fine. So you can book that, absolutely fine. And then there's the group as well that you can ask the questions, get the feedback and the support, and I'm always there for you in there as well. So that's perfect. So fruit and veg, we're talking about new growers, fruit and veg patch for a successful harvest. That's what we talk about in the membership. If you want to join the membership, I will leave a link in the description. $3.99 a month to join. Gives you access to the private group where we have all the coaching sessions and everything, community support and resources are all in the group. Be kicking off on Monday the 3rd for the first of the introduction to the month. and then carry on from there. But have a look if you're in the Facebook group, see if I can find the agenda. I'll put it back up. Visit green-fingertips.co.uk, my website, /membership to sign up. And then I'll look out for you and welcome you to the group. Right, I think that's it for today. I will put any resources that I've talked about today, I will link in the description and in the group as well. The ebook I will link in I'll do a post for the group so you can see that, and I'll put that in the description so you can download that when you're ready. That should be good. And I have my sowing and growing in your veg patch guide as well, which I've done. I think that was back in the spring last year that I created, that talks you through when to sow things, when to plant things out, and when they need to be harvested. So that will really help you when you're doing your planner, which is also linked in the description all the time anyway. So if you're interested in the planner, you can put a plug there. You can order that as well through the description. That's fine. But yeah, that will help you. That free download will help you to know how to time things as well. So that's great. Right. On that note, I will leave it all there. Have a wonderful day, wherever you're watching from. If you've enjoyed this show, give us a thumbs up. If you're watching on YouTube, again, give us a thumbs up. And subscribe if you want to see more from myself, Gardening Naturally with Green Fingertips. And I'll leave it there. So have a lovely evening, have a lovely day, have a lovely week, and I'll catch you in the next episode. See you later.